buenos días or buenas tardes. Whenever you watch this, it could be buenas noches. All right, we are on continuing with chapter 7, 7.2 en la página 267, 267, sorry, 267. All right. We're talking about irregular verbs in Spanish, and there are 5 million. It seems like almost all of the verbs are irregular, or a good majority of them are irregular, meaning they don't follow any pattern. So there's so many. If you look right there on 267 at the bottom, tener, you might want to jot down. Tener is to have. You should know that. Estar is to be. Poder is to be able to or can. Poner is to put. Saber is to know. And hacer is to do or to make. And you can see all the forms. Yo tuve, I had. Tuviste, tú tuviste, which they don't ever put the two in front of it. Just tuviste, you had. Tuvo, he or she had. Tuvimos, we had. And tuvieron, they or y'all had. And I could go down the list. Estar, I'll just do a couple more. Estar, I was. Estuve. Now in this case, there are two to be's. Estar is one, and ser is the other. Ser, we'll learn on the next page, follows the same verb forms in the preterite tense as ir, to go, does. It's crazy. Just don't try to understand it right now. We're getting to the really difficult parts of Spanish. So estar would be estuve. This estar, this to be, would be used for temporary conditions or locations. Like, I was in the restaurant 2 minutes ago. I was in that restaurant. Estuve en el restaurante. Or I was tired. Estuve cansada. I was tired yesterday. Ayer estuve cansada. Today estoy contenta y no estoy cansada. I'm not tired. I'm very happy today, but yesterday. So this estar is for temporary conditions, or for where are you, location, and for other things, but for the time being, this is good to know. So I was, estuve, estuviste, you were, estuvo, he or she was, estuvimos, we were, and estuvieron, I'm crossing out, we're crossing out the vosotros form. Cross out that whole vosotros line. We're doing nosotros, yes, and we're doing ustedes and ellos and ellas, but we always cross out the vosotros. So the last one, estuvieron, y'all or they were. One more, poder. Pude, this sounds weird, but it's pude, I was. Pudiste, you were. Pudo, he or she, this is not was, this is not to be. Pude is I could or I was able to. Pudiste is you could or you were able to. Pudo is he or she could or he or she was able to. Pudimos, we were able to, we could. Pudieron, they or y'all were able to or they could. Sorry about that. And there are the rest of them. I'm just not going to go over all of them because we don't have time. Then if you'll look on the next page, you have more irregular verbs. Venir is to come. Like I came from, Oklahoma. Vine de Oklahoma. Querer, wanted. To want, it's to want, but in past tense. Quise comer al mediodía. I wanted to eat at noon. Okay. Decir, dije. I told something. I told you something. Yo te dije algo. Okay. Traer is to bring. So traje would be like I brought something. I brought you some coffee. Te traje un café. All right. Conducir is to drive, so conduce or conduct. Conduct or to drive. Sometimes it means to drive, sometimes it means to conduct. And traducir is to translate. So here is all of that. Then I really want you to look down at ser and ir down below. These are the, I was telling you last week, I don't know where those forms are. They're somewhere in the book, but here you can look at the appendix. Well, here they are right here, conjugated out. I knew they had to be somewhere because they're that important. Buried in the blue part, I don't know. But it's very important. This is used all the time. Fui, okay, first of all, we're going to use it for the ser. Fui, I was. Fuiste, you were. Now, in this case, it's like, oh, I was a student. Yo fui un estudiante. Ahora yo soy profesora. I was a student, now I'm a professor. Okay, fuiste, you were. Fue, or like, fui delgada. I was skinny. Ahora soy gorda. Too bad for me. Okay, so fuiste, you were. Fue, he or she was. Fuimos, we were. Fueron, cross out vosotros. We're not doing fuisteis, or however you say that. Fueron, you, or y'all, or they were. The other is go, so went. It also means fui, I went. So how do you know the difference? What if they're saying I was and not I went? It's the context of the sentence. You just have to look at the sentence and say what makes more sense. I was to the store, or I went to the store. You know, what makes more sense? Because fui a la tienda, you have to just decide what makes more sense. So it can mean I went, you went, he or she went, we went, or they or y'all went. Fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fueron. Fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fueron. We had to kind of memorize that in Spanish. And then you can read some of those things that they talk about. I don't have time. I'm already at 8 minutes. Can't believe this. Okay. We're going to do exercise 4, the easiest one I could find. So you're going to figure out who the subject is. And once you figure that out, you're going to plug in the Spanish word. You decide which one it's going to be. They give you an idea. It's either going to be ver. Right here it says, here are the activities, yesterday's activities of some of the of Hispanic neighbors. Complete the sentences with the correct preterite form of these verbs here. Ver, which means to see. Ir, to go. Dar is to give. Hacer is to do. Decir is to say or tell. Traer is to bring. Poner is to put. And venir is to come. So you're deciding between those. For example, number 1, Ernesto Saucedo blank una fiesta para sus amigos. Ernesto Saucedo blank una fiesta para sus amigos. So Ernesto Saucedo something, a party for his friends. He gave a party. A lot of times we'll say he threw a party, but they say gave, and that's to give is dar, D-A-R. And how do you find the form for Ernesto? So the subject is he. This happens to be regular. If it's not listed, it's not tener or estar, if it's not any of that, you go over to page 265. It's an AR verb. We're talking about Ernesto, so he's a he. So you look at the third person singular form, the L and the ella and the usted form. You take off the AR and you add, actually that has to be irregular because it has an I and an O. Well, that one doesn't make sense because it's Dio. So I'm glad I told you this one because this one's messed up. So this one's Dio. Oh wait, maybe it was under, where was it? It was somewhere. I saw it. This isn't good. Oh, well, it says it right here. Right at the top of the page under exercise, above exercise 4, they tell you that some of the endings So make sure you read that properly. See, I didn't even read it, so I don't know. ¿Qué te dieron? What did they give you? Mi tío me dio dinero. So it's D-I-O. D-I-O. No accent mark. I thought there was an accent mark, but there's not. So Ernesto Salcedo dio una fiesta para sus amigos. Ernesto Salcedo gave a party for his friends. This is so hard. We're going to do more. I'm going to do 2 more. And then remember, vio would be, well, let's just do number 5 because that's going to be the same thing. Amanda saw, well, Amanda blank a Graciela hablando con su novio Rafael. Amanda, and it is saw, Graciela speaking with her boyfriend Rafael. So it's saw. That's to see, ver. And it's going to be V-I-O, just like dar. It's going to be V-I-O, vio, vio. So I gave you 1 and 5. Those are the hard ones. The rest of them are not as hard because they're right here. They're really irregular, and they're right here in these boxes. For example, number 2. I'll give you another one. Number 2. Dice Ernesto, blank más de 30 personas a mi fiesta. Ernesto says, more than 30 people came to my party. So how many people came? More than 30. They kind of switch it around. Más de 30 personas, and we would put the verb there, but they have it at the. So basically what it's saying, literally it's saying came more than 30 people to my party, but we would say more than 30 people came to my party, but they put the verb in front, so that's confusing also. So it's venir, V-E-N-I-R. Well, where's venir? It's at the top of page 268, right there. And he's talking about people. They came. Personas, people. Well, that's they. And they is ellos. Okay, so it's going to be that big word there. Vinieron. Vinieron. V-I-N-I-E-R-O-N. Vinieron. So I gave you 3 for this exercise 4 on page 269. I gave you number 1, dio, D-I-O. I gave you number 5, vio, V-I-O. And I gave you number 2, vinieron, vinieron, which is right over here on the ustedes, ellos, ellas form of venir. And so that's enough because you're going to have to translate all this, and you'll do that, okay? And that's the end of today's thing for, well, I don't even want to talk about. Just good luck. Buena suerte. Adios.